Patch 13.14 is here, and while I can't predict how this patch will turn out, there is one comp that I'm somewhat afraid of. Who would you say is the strongest Rise in the game? I think a lot of players would mention the Zorn Rise, because they saw a lot of clips of this unit single-handedly wiping out the enemy board thanks to having massive amounts of gold in the bank. I wouldn't say that they are wrong. Zorn Rise is very powerful, especially now that he can appear in the carousel without having to roll for him, but in my mind, the strongest Rise comes from the Demacia region. In this region, Rise will cast a portal under his allies, granting them a massive shield for 2 seconds. If they leave the area, they get healed, and enemies within the area take magic damage when the shield expires. You might not have seen this Rise a whole lot, because this region only has 2 portals. House Light Shield and the Petricite Forest. House Light Shield has a fun mechanic where you can equip a powerful item, but the unit has to survive or you lose the fight. To balance this out, this region has a very low appearance rate. Some of you might have never played it before. The Petricite Forest, on the other hand, shows up a lot more, but is universally hated and almost never picked. The whole part about units having increased HP just isn't very appealing, which is why Riot reworked the region into something new. At the start of the game, everyone now receives 3 component anvils on their bench. You will still get your normal component drops, so players will end up with very powerful boards in the early game due to tailoring the item components to build the items they want. Chances are that this new mechanic will be quite popular, so you will be seeing this region and therefore the Demacia Rise a lot more often. The next issue that adds to this problem are the Invoker buffs. Cassio, Galio, Zoraka, Karma and Tarek are all getting buffs. This means that the Invoker block will have a much easier time in the early and mid game, especially thanks to Tarek becoming an incredible tank. The combination of Invoker, Targon and the Demacian Rise will likely result in you seeing some sort of a def block that becomes incredibly difficult to deal with. Even a Rise 1-star with no items is capable of shielding this block for 7,000. Later in the game, you can expect values of 20,000 shields per fight. Now the duration for the shield is only 2 seconds, so the effective value is not as high as it seems, and Rise is mana locked during the cast. Yet you still negate all the burst damage during this time, and thanks to Invoker, he shouldn't have any problems getting a second cast out. Your carries in this comp can range from Lysandra, Karma or Ahri, depending on what you find. The reason this comp will likely cause a lot of frustration is because if you don't have the right answer for it, you will take the maximum amount of damage. Now don't get me wrong, it is possible to defeat this comp. I think both Aatrox and Heimerdinger will be great answers to punish invokers that are clumping as a larger block, and quite frankly, nothing would make me happier than to be wrong about this whole comp and it not becoming a major issue to deal with for the next 2 weeks. I do believe the correct approach here is to keep a positive mindset. This video is not meant to hate on Riot for buffing invokers. I mainly think that the Demacia Rise is very powerful and managed to fly under the radar so far. So instead of focusing on the negative, what do you guys think is a good approach to deal with this comp if it becomes popular? Let me know in the comments. I hope you learned something and see you next time.